Were you really sick this week? What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or?
Partial. Spinal.
Right, the Arman Tsarukyan conspiracies. Now, I didn't catch all of this at the time. When the news broke that Arman had pulled out of his fight with Islam, I was too all wrapped up with Moicano not being able to afford to lose. I was busy convincing myself that Renato stood a chance of making it interesting with Islam. And then, of course, the card happened. And we were all just dumbfounded by Merab's gas tank. Merab's inhuman performance just took over the narrative. But since then, the dust has started to settle and things aren't adding up. There's some serious conspiracies that have come out and we've got some evidence that we're going to go over now. First of all, we got the old wrinkly ballbag saying this.
Arman Tsarukyan, what do you do with him at this point? I mean, do you automatically rebook him in the next title fight? Do you go back to the drawing board?
No. Yeah, he's going back to the drawing board. I don't want anybody to ever fight hurt, ever. You know, we've been in these positions before. Went down there with the doctor. Went down there with Heather from the PI, who is, you can ask any fighter or anybody else, she's the best in the world. And you know, you miss opportunities sometimes, and he did. So we'll see how this plays out for him next year.
You feel like he could have competed?
You
feel like he could have competed tonight?
I have no idea. I don't know that. Only he knows that.
Look, sometimes Dana can be like this. If you fuck up a card for him, he has got a tendency of getting his Conor McGregor-themed knickers in a twist. We've seen Uncle Fester have many grudges for things like this. But then, I saw this interview with Arman.
Everything was good, but like last day, Wednesday, after training, I went to sleep and I started to feel my lower back. I couldn't sleep all night and I thought something happened. But the next day, I thought like it's gonna be good, and after press conference, I'm gonna start my weight cut. When I started my weight cut, I was doing bike, and like that moment, I like my back like stuck, you know, and I couldn't move. 5 a.m. I just said my manager, it's the same pain. I couldn't move. My lower back stuck, and it's just I cannot continue. So.
Okay, so that's his story. Case settled, I guess. Except then his coach was interviewed and asked about the injury. And this is what he had to say.
Well, we have to go back a little bit. Like last Tuesday, he had the last sparring session, and he tweaked his back a little bit. It was not too bad, you know. And we thought it's going to be, you know, just the end of the camp. You know, the body's feeling it, and then he took a few days off, you know, and he was fine. And then we started fight week. Everything was going great. The spasm, the pain was there, but he was, you know, powering through it. You know, he never thought about not fighting.
Oh, well, those appear to be two completely fucking different stories. Well, it's clear from Dana's reaction to all this that Dana isn't buying the injury bollocks. And completely unrelated to this, here's a clip from Yuri Prohaska talking about subscribing to Shameless MMA.
Let's go for that.
Back to the case, I've launched a full investigation to all this, and it appears that there's two main conspiracies in question. One is that Arman and his team knew that he wasn't going to be able to make weight, and to try and save some face and have any chance of getting a rematch with Islam, they went with the old difficult to prove one way or the other back injury. In this conspiracy, I don't think Dana is in on it, but I think they did a bad job blagging it, and Dana's medic clearly knows that they're more full of shit than UFC 312. This explains why Dana's so angry at Arman, and why Dana says that Arman's going to have to work his way back from scratch. It also explains why Arman and his team are about as convincing as a toddler with chocolate all around his mouth, assuring you that he's got no idea what happened to it. Another factor to consider is that Arman, in his time in the UFC, has previously missed weight. Not to mention that he looked jacked as fuck, and he's been seen multiple times in this fight camp eating fast food and pasta. The other conspiracy that I think is just as likely, if not more, is that Armand popped for PEDs. When Dana was talking about Armand in that clip earlier, he said about see how Armand gets on next year. Well, this is January, mate. I still got all my holiday weight. Next year is an awfully long time away. That sounds like a suspension to me. On top of that, this new dodgy testing that the UFC has, that sounds about as shady as an Abu Dhabi decision, apparently doesn't have to make it public if fighters fail drug tests. So that would explain a lot. In this conspiracy, obviously Dana is also in on it. It would also explain Dana's anger and wanting Arman to earn it all over again. Whichever one it is, this is a real shame because Arman really was the only one that could challenge Islam at 155. Look, if a switched on Charles Oliveira gets in there against Islam, I think he could potentially make it interesting. But with how reckless Charles is and how safe Islam plays it, Islam will most likely get that win. Arman really is the only guy in the division that appears to be able to match Islam's skill set. Whether it's not being able to make weight or PEDs, or fuck it, even if he did actually hurt his back, trying to impress that UFC-sponsored cleavage, we've potentially lost Islam's best fight. This fight also would have helped Islam, assuming he won obviously. So far, his title run has got a lot of asterisks. I mean, he's fought a lightweight, he's had a last-minute matchup, he had a really close fight with Dustin that Charles and Khabib made much lighter work of. Now, a lot of this isn't Islam's fault, but it would have been good for him to get a solid, undeniable defence. As time goes on, we should get a better idea of exactly what happened to Arman. If we do end up not seeing him compete again this year, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? And if he does, maybe just ease off the pies a little bit, mate. Either way, hopefully we still get the fight eventually. Anyway, if you like this video, give us a sub, check out this playlist of recent bangers. See you next time.